In this tutorial, we're going to use Photoshop to create an animated GIF of photos that looks sort of like a slideshow, but isn't a slideshow. It's a lot faster to make than a slideshow to put together than a slideshow. For if you have to put together a web page for speculative purposes because you're not building the actual site, but you want to show your client what something is going to look like, and you want to show them something that looks like an active slideshow that isn't really an active slideshow. Normally I wouldn't suggest using Gif image for a photograph just because they tend to pixelate and sometimes the resolutions is not that great, but because we're going to be doing something small, this will totally work. So the first thing we need to do is create a new document in Photoshop. I'm going to make mine 700 pixels wide by 300 pixels high. You could do 300, you could do 350, let's do 350. Okay, so 700 pixels wide by 350 pixels high. I'm going to click OK, and this is going to become my slideshow. Let's get rid of this because we don't need it. And I've got all the other things I need here. One thing I need to have open is I need to have my timeline visible. If you don't see timeline down here, I'm just using essentials from Photoshop. If you don't see timeline down there, you'll find it in window menu. Make sure timeline's checked, and then you'll have your timeline available to you. So doing a simple GIF animation using photos is a lot like putting photos into Photoshop for anything else you might want to use them for. If you were adding them in as different layers by going to File menu, choosing Place Embedded, navigating to the folder where you have the photos you want to use, and then putting them into Photoshop. Because it places them into the artboard that I've made, and they sort of don't fit. There's a lot of white space over on the side. I kind of don't want that. I'm just going to use the little points on the bounding box to adjust this and just only capture the part of the photo that I want. Once I've got it in place, I can either hit the check mark up here or double click on it in the image and it will place it into my document. And I'm going to keep doing that for all the images that I want to put into my GIF animation. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. Give myself enough to work with. Okay, yay, like I said, either click the check up here or double click on the image itself. And I'm going to put my last image in, Place Embedded, double click on it, it puts it into the file that I'm working in, and then I will go through the same thing. Okay, yay, that looks just dandy. Okay, so now I've got these 3 images in here. So what I need to do is make my animation. So I can, hey, where'd that thing go? I can click Create Frame Animation, which, okay, well, it'll give me 1 frame, which will be the last image that I dumped into there, but I want all the frames in here. So the best way to get them in is to click the little sandwich menu over here and make frames from layers, which will add them all in. But they're set to 0 seconds. So if I were to go and play this thing, we'll loop it forever, play it, that doesn't really look great. That looks like a psychedelic nightmare. So if I stop it, go back into here and set each of these to play for 1 second. And test it again. Okay, much better. Starting to look like a slideshow. Okay, so now the trick to getting this to, let's stop that because that's going to bug us. The trick to getting it to work online is to go to File menu and choose under Export, you'll find something called Save for Web. So in Save for Web, I want to make sure that GIF is selected. JPEG won't work. PNG, well, hey, they're great, but it's not going to work for this. Not PNG 24 and not WBMP, definitely not going to work. Got to be GIF. Okay, so with GIF is selected, I will click Save, and I will save this as flower-animation, because no spaces between words when we're producing stuff for web design. I'm just going to click Save, and then I can preview it. So what it will look like in my web browser is essentially that. So I can put that into any web page that I'm working on, and it will look like a slideshow without actually being a slideshow.